Like, share, and subscribe. Okay, welcome back to Grandpa Sees the Blinking. Well, Tesla closed in the green. Not by a whole lot, but by enough. The high in Tesla today was 237.39. The low was 226.54. And it closed at 234.30. I think approximately 80 cents above yesterday's close. So she's hanging in there for Monday. Uh, we got Mum's the Word is going to be coming and giving us some news. He's out and about. I'm not sure which state he's in currently. He travels a lot, and but he is going to supposedly call in here shortly and give us the news. Uh, so in Tesla here, we they just pounded 228 last half of the day and also 242. So they were shorting at 242 times 15, and when they do that, it pulled it up, and when they paused that, sometimes they were doing both of them at the same time, but they hit that 228 hard, um, 220 and 221. Hey, I think we might just have Mum's the Word calling in here. Hang on a second. Hello, is this Mum's the Word?
Good afternoon, Grandpa. How's it going?
It's going pretty good today. Uh, I was just telling our large audience that you might be calling and giving the news.
I did. I was contemplating. I forgot something of uh, huge importance this morning when discussing China, and that concerns their huge infrastructure project to the world called Belt and Road. This was started in 2013, 2014, when the current leader of China, Xi Jinping, took the reins of power in China. And it was envisioned as a way to move China's industrial capacity uh, to various points around the world and bring back the raw materials which they needed to run their economy. And over the years, they've spent a huge amount of money um, doing this, and they've lent this money. They use mostly Chinese labor, Chinese companies, and so it was a huge cost. And at the time, it was expected to start generating a pretty sizable amount of money for the Chinese economy. But over the years, these projects, like so many government initiatives, have wandered off course. Uh, Corruption, poor planning, logistics, everything, and this all came to a head a couple of years ago when the COVID shutdown started, and it brought a huge impact to China. And then on top of that, when interest rates started rising, the countries that accepted this Belt and Road money, they uh, all of a sudden were upside down because they simply couldn't make the interest payments. Plus, they had not generated income. The projects had stopped, and so um, the the projects that were envisioned as to start paying off for the Chinese companies, many of them have stalled because they weren't finished, and so the country of China are left between a rock and a hard place. They have to either continue to spend money or write these loans off because it they can't generate income if the projects aren't completed. but with the shortage of cash and the industrial output of China faltering this year, it has really put a crunch on these projects. So, in addition to all the other problems China's experiencing right now, this Belt and Road is contributing one more.
So, do you think that, in your opinion, that China is more likely to be aggressive and want to start a conflict in the world? Like they keep talking about Taiwan and whatnot. Uh,
Well, it's typically what these authoritarian governments do. They do that as a way to divert the public's attention away from some glaring economic facts, and it's very dire. I have some personal friends, people that I personally know. I'm not going to divulge names, but they they sell um, Chinese products as a business in their business, and because they was doing so well selling it, the the company that they're selling for in China gave them a free trip to come to China to tour their factory and to spend time, seeing what they were doing. And when they got there, they spent a half a day in their factory. They were so appalled, literally appalled by what they saw. Uh, the worst, the worst working conditions you could ever imagine in our country, in the United States, is common day, common day in China. These people lived on the factory grounds. They they couldn't go anyplace. It's just appalling, and many of these have just it's really tumbling right now.
yeah, I think about the factory that Tesla has over there in Shanghai, and I think those workers are probably among the best treated workers in the whole country, from what I've been hearing. Have you heard anything along those lines?
I have really no other firsthand knowledge of this other than these people who I know personally and trust their. I mean, I've heard anecdotal accounts where the workers in many factories they get to go home for like 2 to 3 weeks for the whole year, but then they come back to these factories. They live in these these dorms, whatever you want to call them, and they don't go home. They're chained to their, it's pretty appalling.
Yeah. Hey, after markets here, Mr. Mum's the word. They've been shorting at 239 real steady, and it's given us some green candles here after hours. So, uh,
Okay.
I don't know that it's going to pull it right up to 239, but I'm thinking we're going to see that mid 240 range next week in Tesla. I know that would make Pastor Keith very happy. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes you wonder whether you should try to do a small amount of averaging down on a small portion of your portfolio.
uh, um, yeah. Oh, once it gets up in the 240 range, I'm averaging a lot. I'm gonna average,
Right.
but
I know
anyway,
we had the opportunity uh, last week for sure. Um, and it's easy to look back and see what you should have done, but
yeah,
just a small portion of your portfolio, just to maybe average down on some of it to get your average down a little bit.
yeah. Well, I know like about the time that we start averaging in the 247.50 area, I mean they've got substance at 255 and 269, as you know. So
Right.
about the time you jump all over 247.50 when it gets there, uh, you can bet these guys will drive it to 255. So
Right. Well,
you
that's why I say do it with just a small portion of your portfolio,
right,
and
and then
and
just wait.
wait. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, you'd have made a pretty decent little haul here in the last week on doing that. So
yeah, yeah.
wasn't it down to 226 at one point?
I think it went to just about 226 this morning. If not, if it didn't make it,
Oh, okay.
I'd have to move my charts to look back. But yeah, it was under 227. I know that because I was buying shares at 227, and getting rid of them on the way up a little bit. I didn't do a whole lot today. I gained a little bit back in my simulated trading account that I'm going to either zero or gonna double it up to 200,000. So
Okay.
you know I got a 231 average and oh, what do I got? Yeah, just a shade over 231 average. So I'm in the green and but you know they pounded 228 so hard today that uh, you know I think we might see 228 and 242 on Monday. I just don't know. You know, they one thing for sure you can expect the unexpected, and you know till I see the blinking, and even then they'll blink. What kills a guy is when they blink it for 5 minutes like crazy, and you get on board, and they they stop it, and it just goes the other way.
Well, you know for sure you're fighting an algorithm in a big computer. You know.
Oh man, it's we're playing the hardest computer in the world. It's amazing that you can even stay with them at all. Uh,
Right.
and it looks easy when you look at these candle charts. It looks easy,
I
but
get advertisements now continuously about it. Follow this chart, follow that chart.
yeah, yeah.
Will make you rich. Yep.
Oh, they're all gonna make you rich. And
Yep.
I don't know if you watched it, but I did. The live stream just before you came, I did a live stream and I talked about the W and the M chart that I look at on candles. Did you get a chance to see that yet, or
I did not. No.
when you listen to it, then watch on your screen so you can see. I used to do the 2 minute chart in Japanese candles. That's what I predominantly traded for years, and that the what the secret mindset guy that remember I told you about him,
Yeah.
and he would talk from time to time about the W and the M charts, or what do you call it when you see something on the screen? I don't know the terminology so much. I just call it a chart, but anyway, they always talk about the head and shoulders this, head and shoulders that. Well, the W and the M, um, if you like today on the 2 minute chart, they were just clear as a bell, and I learned that system way back, and I've used it from time to time, it's quite effective, but you don't get them every day. It's kind of a thing when you get the signal, you've got to have it in your head that hey, this might be it here, you know, and because you can pick up some good money. I mean, I had back to back. I had a W and then an M today,
Oh.
and that's fairly rare. Uh,
Okay.
but and you know, I I didn't jump all over it. So what else is going on in the world there, Mister?
Well, I was looking at this Cybertruck that you've been talking about, and supposedly they're supposed to start um, actually running them out the door the end of this month.
Well, that
So
should be
um,
huge.
yeah, they're talking. I don't know. I was trying to figure out a price they're going on, but it's like 60, between 50 and 70,000, and so I mean it seems like an awful lot to me, but I mean I think I heard where a Ford Lightning's like 90,000. So I don't know. I mean, if you're inclined to spend that much money, I guess
Well, there's
uh,
plenty of people that got plenty of money. Have
I
you?
guess there's a just a huge amount of people that put $400 down, on one.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that semi? I'm interested in that semi.
Well, I've heard a lot, but I don't know. I'd have to kind of see it.
Yeah,
It's one thing to pull a trailer with 5,000 pounds in the box down the road versus one that has 46,000 pounds in the trailer down the road. It's a whole different story, and that's what I've heard. I've heard that um, Frito Lay, Pepsi, they're they're pulling these box trailers, and you know, let's face it, potato chips don't weigh much.
right. But they're also doing some. Now they're so heavy, that they've got an exemption so they can haul a little higher weight than the regular trucks. I do know that, about a ton more, but they're over a ton heavier because of the batteries.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you know, I think about 20,000 pounds with pop or whatnot for Pepsi is all they can really do. Uh,
Okay,
my understanding of it, but
yeah.
the
I was
seems good with it.
right. I was talking to my brother. He drives for a big trucking company, and the new Freightliners are coming without mirrors. They've
Wow.
got cameras instead, and they've got a screen on the inside of the cab, which sounds pretty crazy, but I suppose that's what the new Tesla semis have also. The driver in a Tesla semi sits in the center of the cab,
Right, right.
which I still wonder how you're going to do that when you're backing up. But I suppose it's maybe something you would get used to. But,
Oh, absolutely. But and I was thinking about that center of the cab thing. Like I think it's was really a smart move on Elon's part to do that because the Europeans, they drive on the wrong side of the vehicle, But when
well,
it's
no, the English do,
well,
but
whoever they are, but
yeah, the English speaking countries, with the exception of Canada and the USA, they drive on the left side, and then let's see, who is it?
well, we drive on the well, we
Who
drive
dri-
on the right side of the road, but our
Yeah.
steering wheel's on the left. Their steering wheel's on the right. But my point is this: by
Oh, they
having
don't.
by
They
have
wouldn't have to change it.
they don't have to change nothing.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point, Grandpa. Yeah,
Oh, Grandpa knows stuff. I'll tell you
yeah.
what. I don't know much, but I know steering wheels.
There you go.
I slept over a lot of steering wheels
You
in my
sure
life.
have,
Uh,
haven't we all?
yep, and you have too. I'll tell
Remember
you,
the old days where you slept laying on the doghouse?
I remember the the old days when I was so happy that we had a sleeper. When we finally got our first sleeper, it was just it was like heaven. It was just because otherwise you always slept in the seat,
Yep,
or you'd have a plank and put it between the seats and
yep,
lay across
yep,
it. You've done that.
yep. My
Uh,
my first truck with a sleeper was a little tiny hole he had to crawl through.
Yep.
All they did is took the back window out and put a little, I can't remember how wide it was. It was just barely wide enough for you to lay down.
Yep.
But it was so much better than what there was before.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, well, I'll tell you what, the hole that they cut, so, we went through like one of those rounded out window deals too into our bunk on our first ones. And, I'll tell you what, today I couldn't even get through that hole.
No,
But when I was young and slim and trim and uh,
flexible.
flexible, you was nothing to it, you know.
Right.
But
Those days are behind us, Grandpa.
oh man, I and then phones. I mean, think of all the years that you had to stop and make phone calls and wait in line.
Oh,
It, it
I remember going into Chicago in the meat market down there, and first you had to find a phone. Then you had to find a place to park the truck. Then you had to get to the phone, and then you had to wait in line for the phone. And clearly remember taking a pencil and a paper and writing down every word the person said on the instructions.
absolutely.
Because if you made one mistake and you couldn't find the place,
You
oh
there was nothing. Nobody could help you.
no,
Yeah. And
you know.
New York is the worst. I mean, have you ever asked directions in New York? I have.
Well, I did for years, and then one day I got told by the person I was calling to use the GPS on my phone. They quit giving directions.
No, I'm
And
talking about people on the street.
oh, that no, I never did that.
Oh man, oh life. I tell you what, I was real lost one time right downtown New York, and I'd ask people, and every one of them told me they don't even know where they're at themselves. Most of these
No,
people have never left town.
no, no.
I used to have a friend who lived in Minneapolis, and he was 30 something years old, and he had never left Minneapolis. And so I started asking different people, and it's mind boggling how many of these people have never left, never ever in their whole life left the town they live in.
Right.
I it's just crazy. But
Well, until I started driving truck, I'd never been to Wisconsin. You know, 50 miles from you know,
50
crazy.
miles, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, uh, well, at least we had little towns in our area. We could go around to little towns,
Right.
but a lot of these people they don't have vehicles. They ride on the bus,
Yep.
and their bus doesn't take them out of town.
Right. Right.
So, hey, uh, well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
I gotta shut this thing down, or it's gonna get too long on us. But
Okay.
um,
Yep. Talk to you later,
hey, are
Grandpa.
we gonna do our thing on Monday? Do you think,
Yeah,
if
we will. We
possible?
will. Yeah,
Okay, well, get the news ready for Grandpa then,
we'll do.
and appreciate it there, Mister Mum's the word.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Talk to you later.
bye bye. Okay, so that was Mum's the word news, and it's always fun to hear what he's got to say. Very interesting. Uh, okay, 239 times 1 is still shorting. It's giving us we're basically running sideways, but they're trying to keep it in check here in the 234.15, 234.20 area. Um, and I guess we'll see you, Lord willing, on Monday. And remember, all good things are from the Lord. See you then. Bye bye.